The ignition coil works with the flywheel to produce the electric current needed for the spark plug. The flywheel has two magnets mounted on it at specific locations. As the magnets pass by the ignition coil, they induce an electric current within the ignition coil's windings. This current is sent to the spark plug at the precise time it is needed to ignite the air-fuel mixture inside the cylinder. Common symptoms of a bad ignition coil are an engine that will not start, an engine that starts and runs, but then suddenly turns off, and an engine that starts and runs, but then won't restart until it is cooled off. Replacing the ignition coil is a repair that you can do yourself, and I'm going to show you how.
Hi, I'm Mark Socha.
Do-it-yourself repairs like these are easier than you might think. From lawn machines to cordless drills, kitchen mixers,
Outdoor grills.
our how-to videos walk you through each repair from start to finish. So doing it yourself means never having to do it alone.
Let's get started.
I'll begin by removing the rear housing from the engine. The same screws that secure the rear housing also secure the rear crankcase cover. I'll go ahead and remove it as well. Now remove the clutch housing in the upper shaft. Next, I'll remove the clutch drum. Next, I'll remove the clutch. If I attempt to just rotate the clutch, the problem is the crankshaft also rotates, so I can't remove it. What I'll need to do first is bind up the cylinder so that the crankshaft can't rotate. I'll begin locking the crankshaft by removing the spark plug. Once the spark plug is removed, I'll take a length of starter rope and insert it through the spark plug hole on top of the piston. I'll leave enough of the rope sticking out so I can easily remove it later. Now I can put a wrench on the clutch. As I rotate the clutch, the piston will move up in the cylinder until it contacts the starter rope. The starter rope will bind it, locking the crankshaft. I'll remove the clutch and the washer. Now I can remove the starter housing. Now I have access to the ignition coil, and I can go ahead and remove it. First, I'll remove the wires. And now the two screws that secure it. The top screw also has a grounding tab attached. With the screws removed, I can pull the ignition coil away from the engine. Now I can install the new ignition coil. The gap between the coil and the magnets on the flywheel needs to be set to a specific height, in this case 14 thousandths of an inch. I have a special plastic card that's made to do this. If you don't have one of these cards, you could also use a thick business card. I place the card between the magnets and the ignition coil as I align the coil to the housing. The card creates the proper gap between the flywheel and the ignition coil. I'll leave it in place as I begin to install the lower screw. I'll leave the screw loose for now. Now I'll install the upper screw. Remember to install the grounding tab. I'll push the ignition coil tight against the magnets, making sure that the gap is correct, and then tighten up the screws. With the screws tight, I can remove the gapping card, and now I'll reinstall the wires. The black wire goes to the grounding tab, and the red wire to the tab on the ignition module. Now I'll reinstall the starter housing. As I align it to the flywheel, I'll give the starter a small pull to make sure that the pulley aligns with the starter. And then I'll secure it with the screws. And I'll re-secure the fuel tank. Now I'll reinstall the crankcase cover and rear engine cover. The Easy Start system has 2 holes and a flywheel on the back of the crankcase cover. I need to align one of these holes with the crankshaft. Then I align the holes in the cover with the holes in the crankcase and reinstall the housing. Now I can reinstall the clutch and clutch drum. First I'll install the large washer over the crankshaft. Then I'll thread on the clutch. I'll tighten the clutch with a wrench. Once the clutch is tight, I can remove the piece of starter rope I put in the cylinder. And I'll replace the spark plug. Now install the shim washers. And the clutch. And now reinstall the clutch housing and upper shaft. and now you know how to install a new module assembly on your small engine. Be sure to check back often for new videos and expert advice. If you found this video helpful, give us a thumbs up
And leave a comment.